that people should think about, like their hydration, nutrition on the course?
Yeah. So if you're doing the half marathon, I don't think you have to worry about the heat and humidity really taking too much of a toll on you, because the race starts at 6 a.m. in the morning. Typical average temperatures down here have been in the mid to high 60s. Humidity during that time of the year is relatively low, although it does kind of peak a little bit there about 6:45 to 7:15 in the morning, where you might find the humidity kind of creeping up a bit. But the race has had a race in the 40s,
Yeah.
which some people said was too cold. And then we've had a few races that, if you're doing the marathon, are creeping into the mid 70s, and the humidity's pretty warm. So I tell folks your 22 aid stations are there for a reason.
Right.
They're not necessarily to be hit every single mile for you if you're not used to that, but certainly make use of them even before you get to that point where you feel thirsty. So a little bit at every aid station won't kill you, but what will kill you is if you skip 4 or 5 of them, because come mile 7 or 8, Miami will get under your skin for sure. And if you're not from here, you've got to respect the humidity. It's our altitude. It takes some acclimatizing to I don't know. I would say pay attention to the weather. Nothing is guaranteed, but our weather has been pretty mild for a half marathoner. The full marathoners, you do have some shade second half of your course, so you'll have some reprieve, but definitely prepare yourselves for something a little warmer than you might be used to if you're coming from the Northeast.
Yeah, especially layering. I need to get that. I'll never be able to nail that. I don't think it's not in my journey. I no matter what I do it wrong. No matter what. Like,
look, layering here, I would say is probably just a one top, a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt that you toss. So you're not really having to shed too much. The start line itself can get a little cool. If you get a little breeze off the bay, it's so certainly you want to bring something for the start line, and then shed right then and there. We'll take it and give it to our homeless charities up the road. But there's no perfect way to get the layering thing down. So I would agree.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad about it. And what about like strategy, like run strategy? Like, you're a coach. I mean, this is your in your DNA. So what's your tell me.
I was gonna say on the strategy side, I hate to go back to hills, because I feel like everyone's gonna leave here thinking Miami's some hilly place. But your first 4 miles involve the 2 tallest hills you'll climb, which are basically the 2 bridges. So start off easy. Take it easy. Enjoy the cruise ships. They're coming in. They're doing their thing. They're actually I call it parallel parking, but there's a better term. They're docking, and those sites that you're coming over the MacArthur Causeway taking in, pay attention to those rather than trying to front load your race and kill your legs coming up and over those bridges, because they will come back to haunt you. In our race, people sort of discount them, especially if you're from out of town. You're like, that wasn't a bridge, that wasn't a hill. But I'm like, yeah, but if it hits you at a half mile into the race and you're not warmed up, it's going to come back and haunt you later. And it hits you. So the first bridge hits you at about a half mile. Your second bridge hits you at roughly 3 to 3.5. And then you have a few little humps on the Venetian, but for the most part, those are your first 3 or 4 miles with a hill or a couple hills. Besides that, I would say strategy. Let's see what else is specific to Miami. You got to pay attention a little bit to the wind. You might have to kind of sit behind somebody, because the wind does come off the east sometimes during that time of the year. First 4 miles are pretty key to making your race. After that, I think you're okay.
That's great advice. I was trying to remember, because when you say hills, like, I love hills, right? So, I mean, for me, that's fun. It kind of mixes the race up, but hills are, I guess, subjective, right? Like, some people, like, I live in New York, so 3 incline on the treadmill is a hill. But, for people that live in upstate New York or in the mountains, that's just flat. So, right. It's totally
I
subjective.
I love
I think there's like a 4.
personally,
Yeah.
yeah, I personally love the bridges because it gives me the best view of the city, and I don't know, I feel like inspired when you get to the top. There's a 6% grade on our first bridge on the MacArthur, so it's not too steep. I think you get caught up in the excitement, and you should be fine. So I don't want to scare anybody, but keep it, respect it. That's it.
Totally. I'll be binging my hill and hit classes on Peloton for the next 4 weeks.
Got it. Full marathon splits. And every year I get an email from somebody that went a little too far at 12.8 miles. When you got it 12.5, start thinking about it. You start kind of looking for that split. And when that split happens, your full marathoner stay right, your half marathoner stay left. So keep your head up, listen to the volunteers, listen to the audio that's on record there and playing. Half marathoners to your left and full to your right. So don't get caught in that.
I remember that. I have the visual because I am the person who will go the wrong way. So I remember that from the last time. I think it was 2018 that I did the Miami half, and I was like, no. Yeah, so as someone who's a runner, you're in the business of running and events. What are some lessons that you take from running that have inspired you in your life and business and other realms of your life, I would say? Sure.
I live by you can call it a hashtag these days, but I live by 2 words: don't stop. And the similar to, I guess, your podcast, right? In that this idea that if you kind of let up, you might lose momentum in life, right? And I tend to think that when and the pose I actually have that goes with this hashtag, and I deliberately thought this through. I haven't won many races in my running career. I'm not the fastest runner, but I paid attention to a lot of people that have crossed finish lines and in first place, and they usually stretch their arms out, kind of out wide, and put their chest in, and they cross the line and they slow down. And so I had this idea that every finish line shouldn't be where you end, right? Like every finish line should just kind of almost push you through to the next start line, or the next event, or the next race, or the next business. And I've you can almost liken it to riding a bike. If you slow down too much, you fall over. Same thing, I think, for running. If you slow down, you're going to get passed. You're going to have a slower time and whatnot. So got to keep yourself moving. So I live by this idea that a runner is probably the best example of someone that doesn't stop. Like, just keep the legs moving, keep the, even if it's a shuffle, but you got to keep moving. And so I've applied that to business, applied that to family life, applied that to everything you can possibly think of. And it's led to some success. Other times, maybe I should have stopped and thought some things through. But for the most part, I think you're better off just kind of, life's a little too short, I think, to be stopping every single time, whether you've had just a success or a failure moment. Just keep moving.